Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Hope you're doing well today. I told you guys I was going to create this video of the Bitcoin senator. That's right there. That's Senator Cynthia Lummis. Yes, Cynthia Lummis, uh, Republican, Wyoming. She has sponsored a bill to call the Bitcoin Act, and people expect this bill to be signed off in January, not January, around December, the end of the year. So I wanted to share this with you because she's got a big goal for Bitcoin, man. That has a lot of confidence in Bitcoin. They want to buy. The bill states that, like I said in the previous video, the bill states that they want to have the government wants to buy 1 million Bitcoin, 1 million Bitcoin, and hold it for 20 years. That's stipulated in the bill that it can't be sold, can't be swapped, anything like that. Because I read it in the bill, in the act. And after 20 years, the belief is that it will be enough to pay off half the national debt, which right now is 17, well, actually 37, yeah, 37 to 34, yeah, 34, 35, or $37 trillion. A whole lot of dollars, okay? So just wanted to share that with you guys so you understand that how important this Bitcoin thing is, how big it is, and how that if you don't have it and you're not in, you ain't playing. You're not playing in the game. You're not even in the game if you don't have some Bitcoin, really. So let's get some Bitcoin. And of course, we know that we've got the vehicle to get you some Bitcoin and get you a lot of it and get it there quick. Okay, all you gotta do is plug into our system and follow the 1, 2, 3 steps every day, and you'll get there. So anyway, enjoy the interview.
Start buying Bitcoin, and we have an arms race over Bitcoin instead of over weapons. Wouldn't it be fun if the U.S. is buying Bitcoin and it scares China and Russia so they start buying Bitcoin, and we have an arms race over Bitcoin instead of over weapons?
Welcome to Bankless, where today we explore the frontier of a strategic Bitcoin reserve. This is Ryan Sean Adams. I'm here with David Hoffman, and we're here to help you become more bankless. So the question on the menu today, what would it look like for the U.S. to build a Fort Knox of crypto? That's the place in the U.S. where it holds all of its gold. And what if we filled that Fort Knox of crypto with 1 million Bitcoin? 1 million Bitcoin units. That would be 5% of the supply of all Bitcoin. Dave is laughing here, but this is actually not a crypto fantasy. It almost sounds like a fantasy novel that we're creating, but this is a bill, an actual bill, authored by Senator Cynthia Lummis, and she says it's the only way to solve the U.S.'s $35 trillion debt problem, and she's dead serious about it. We have her on the podcast today. Before you say there's no chance that anything like this could pass, like, understand, I get the reaction, but I'm not actually so sure. A few points of evidence. The idea of a strategic Bitcoin reserve already has support of 2 presidential candidates, including Trump. And the US is already 20% of its way to the 1 million Bitcoin supply. It already has 20% of that amount. And also, the cost of this might be just a small bookkeeping change with Treasury and the Fed and a little bit of money printing. And the US has certainly printed money for less than this.
Regardless as to whether you think that this has like no shot in hell, or maybe it's a Hail Mary, but it's just not likely to happen. Maybe that's what you think. But you do have to appreciate a sitting U.S. senator drafting a bill to like get it done. Like at the end of the day, regardless, that's like kind of cool.
The fact that we're having this conversation is crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Like I have talked, Ryan, to many very pilled people during my crypto travels, people who have taken the Bitcoin pill and then like taken 5 more, and just have taken a ton of Bitcoin, like the Bitcoiners, and like Cynthia's up there. Like she's very pilled. She is a Bitcoiner's Bitcoiner, and she also happens to be a sitting U.S. senator who can draft legislation and garner support for it and get it through. So in 2024, you got to kind of just like appreciate for where we are in this part of crypto's history.
All right, we're going to get right to the discussion with Senator Lummis, but before we do, we want to thank the sponsors that made this episode possible, including our recommended exchange to go get your crypto assets and your Bitcoin. That is Kraken. Go create an account.
Who knows? Maybe the U.S. government is going to buy Bitcoin on Kraken so you can front run them on Kraken. If you want a crypto trading experience backed by world-class security and award-winning support teams, then head over to Kraken, one of the longest-standing and most secure crypto platforms in the world. Kraken is on a journey to build a more accessible, inclusive, and fair financial system, making it simple and secure for everyone, everywhere, to trade crypto. Kraken's intuitive trading tools are designed to grow with you, empowering you to make your first or your 100th trade in just a few clicks. And there's an award-winning client support team available 24/7 to help you along the way, along with a whole range of educational guides, articles, and videos. With products and features like Kraken Pro and Kraken NFT Marketplace and a seamless app to bring it all together, it's really the perfect place to get your complete crypto experience. So check out the simple, secure, and powerful way for everyone to trade crypto, whether you're a complete beginner or a seasoned pro. Go to kraken.com/bankless to see what crypto can be. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss. Launching a token? Don't let complex legal and tax issues slow you down. Toku provides specialized support to optimize your launch and ensure that you as a founder and your team and your investors get the most tax-efficient outcomes. The Toku team understands the crypto space inside and out and will ensure your token launch is fully compliant while maximizing tax efficiency. Toku can connect you with the best attorneys if you need them to make sure that you have the best advice, and Toku can help to optimize your taxes so you pay the least possible amount of taxes while still maintaining legal compliance. With Toku's guidance, you can concentrate on building your company while Toku handles the logistics. Token launches don't have to be complicated. Talk to Toku today to get a free initial token valuation. Have you ever felt that the tools for developing decentralized applications are too restrictive and fail to leverage advancements from traditional software programming? There's a wide range of expressive building blocks beyond conventional smart contracts and Solidity development. Don't waste your time building the basics from scratch, and don't limit the potential of your vision. Cartesi provides powerful and scalable solutions for developers that supercharge app development. With the Cartesi virtual machine, you can run a full Linux OS and access decades of rich code libraries and open source tooling for building in Web3. And with Cartesi's unique rollup framework, you'll get real world scaling and computation. No more competing for block space. So, if you're a developer looking to push the boundaries of what's possible in Web3, Cartesi is now offering up to $50,000 in grants. Head over to Cartesi's grant application page to apply today. And if you're not a developer, those with staked CTSI can take part in the governance process and vote on whether or not a proposal should be funded. Make sure you're vote ready by staking your CTSI before the votes open.
Bankless Nation, I'm very excited to introduce you to Senator Cynthia Lummis. She is the pro-crypto senator. Those are my words. I don't know if she uses those words, but I say that because I don't think that there's anyone in the U.S. Senate who's a stronger crypto and Bitcoin advocate. She gets the absolute highest rating on the website Stand With Crypto. She's made over 256 public statements about crypto, but who's counting? And she's the recent author of legislation that would have the U.S. purchasing 1 million Bitcoin 1 million Bitcoin in a strategic reserve, and basically establishing a Fort Knox of crypto. Senator Lummis, welcome to Bankless.
Thank you, Ryan. It's great to be with you. And David as well. You're in Argentina. I'm very envious. It is winter there. Tell us what the weather's like.
Oh, it's stormy. I had to run home and I got very wet. If being from Seattle, it felt like home.
Is the winter like there, or the prospects for weather getting any better, David, or is it just going to be like this for the entire
it's
stay?
coming into springtime, but like Buenos Aires isn't so far south that there's any snow, so the winter here is like relatively mild.
Well, we could talk about some seasonality with respect to our politics because it is election season in the U.S. You like that segue there? Well
done.
But first, Senator Lummis, I think we want to talk about this big, bold idea that you have and this legislation you put forward in a bill. It's called the Bitcoin Act, and Bitcoin stands for something. Of course, I think there's an acronym behind this somewhere, but it involves establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve in the United States. So I want to talk about what this bill actually contains, maybe to start. But before we get there, why did you put this forward? What is this all about?
It's about our nation being $35 trillion in debt and having no solutions. One of the things that made me run for the U.S. House in 2008 and now again come back to run for the U.S. Senate is my concern over having the U.S. remain the world reserve currency with our U.S. dollar, making sure that we have sound money, making sure we do not debase the value of the U.S. dollar, or now that we have gotten a grade F in all of those areas, how do we fix it? And that's been an ongoing challenge for me. The only thing that I have found that rationally addresses the U.S. debt is having a Bitcoin reserve. So here's how it would work. We take gold certificates that are valued right now at their 1970s value. They're on the U.S. government's books at their 1970s value. We value them at their current value. Gold is over $2,400 an ounce. And then we take the difference between those two numbers and use it to buy Bitcoin. The Bitcoin would be purchased over a 5-year period, aggregating in 1 million Bitcoin. That's about 5% of all the Bitcoin that will ever be mined. And then we put it in cold storage, put it on ice. And we let it accumulate for 20 years, at which point it would cut our current debt in half. So it allows us to invest in Bitcoin with no effect on the U.S. balance sheet, no additional debt being accumulated. And yet it's converting what we're now seeing U.S. dollars being debased and continually declining in value. And it's putting it in cold storage on an asset that is growing in value. So it's the only thing I've ever seen that addresses our U.S. debt. And I've been looking for this my entire career. And so I'm really excited about it because I know it'll work. I just know it'll work.
Is the main logic here, Senator Lummis, that we have a bunch of gold, we have the most gold out of anyone in the world, and you are just saying, hey, let's diversify from physical gold into also an appropriate and balanced amount of digital gold?
Well, interestingly, we can do this without divesting of any of our physical gold. We keep our physical gold. It's just these gold certificates that we convert to current market value and then put the difference in Bitcoin. So yes, it's a diversifier. Certainly it's a diversifier. But the great news is we don't even have to sell our physical gold to do it. And it doesn't affect our current balance sheet. So it allows us to keep these two hard asset stores of value. One of them is physical gold. The other one is Bitcoin, which is digital gold. And we hold them and let them grow in value. Now, what we know is since Bitcoin was created, its value has grown faster than gold. And I believe that will continue to be the case. Although if you look at people who have modeled this, over time, its growth will begin to decline a little bit in relation to its first 15 years of existence, but it will still continue to grow. And it's going to be a hard asset that is going to help save us from ourselves. We have put ourselves in a world of hurt. It is unsustainable what we've done to ourselves with regard to the U.S. debt. And so while we're also growing this hard asset in value over 20 years, it's helping to underpin the U.S. dollar that we're allowing to be debased. So it kind of has a dual purpose.
It's really fascinating. So it's like I think if listeners are wondering like where's the money come from like for this, you know, I want to just maybe repeat some of this back to you, Senator, and you kind of confirm this. Like I guess I was looking at how much gold the U.S. has. Of course, the U.S. has the most gold in a strategic reserve of any country in the world, by a lot, like over 8,000 metric tons. It appears, at least this is according to Google. Maybe the U.S. has some other stored in other places. And what you're saying is like the 1970s book value of a lot of the gold certificates on the Treasury balance sheet. And of course, book value is just like, I guess, something arbitrary. It's maybe the 1970s locked into the 1970s price, is a lot lower than the market value of those gold certificates. And so all we have to do is reassign that market value to what it should be. And then there's this excess difference in kind of like treasury cash, let's say, that we can use to go start buying some of the 1 million Bitcoin supply that your bill calls for. 1 million Bitcoin right now at like 60K per Bitcoin at the time of recording is about $60 billion. So, of course, the market price will fluctuate, particularly if the U.S. started being a buyer of this Bitcoin. But some of the funds to buy that Bitcoin are sort of just in the delta between the book value of gold certificates on the Fed Treasury balance sheet and the actual market value of that gold. So if this sounds like printing money, I don't know. Is that what Treasury and the Fed sort of does? Like, I guess in a way it is, but I don't know if you have any reflections on that, Senator, but that's kind of how I understand it.
You have described it well. That's how it works. The United States already has around 200,000 Bitcoin. So let's say we have 5 years to get to 1 million. We're already complete with year one, as long as the Biden administration doesn't sell more of it. The problem is they've been selling it. That's the stupidest thing.
They're selling it now, right? They've been selling it over the last few months,
yes,
weeks.
And it's the stupidest thing they could do. They need to hang on to the money that is in the asset forfeiture program. It's over 200,000 Bitcoin. We need to hang on to it and then add to it by the mechanism you just described. It is the difference or the delta between its book value and the fair market value of gold certificates.
Yeah, if you're curious on that 200,000, by the way, I read the bill in its entirety. I don't usually read bills, but I just like wanted to be informed in this. And there's a section in the bill that says basically that asset forfeiture. Did you know, Bankless listener, that the U.S. has the most Bitcoin? I think still more than Michael Saylor. I'm actually not sure. I mean, he's got in the.
We're almost equal.
Okay,
and this is 200,000. We have over 200,000. China's got, I think, 190,000. So they're almost as big as we are.
That's right. And the way the U.S. and China have acquired these Bitcoin are through sort of asset forfeiture, right? So there's illegal activities of various kinds.
Dating back to Silk Road.
Yeah, Silk Road, drug busts, all of these things, and they've acquired this Bitcoin. So the bill basically says, like, once we go through the, I'm paraphrasing like highly here, but once we go through the process of due process in the court system, and we make sure that this doesn't belong to any U.S. citizen, that is a truly forfeited asset seizure according to federal law, then we just take that and convert that and put that on the U.S. Strategic Reserve balance sheet. So rather than sell it, as we're doing right now, we just keep it. And so the bill calls for a halt of all selling and to transfer the existing forfeited Bitcoin into the reserve balance sheet. Is that correct?
That is correct. And one of the things that I thought was particularly cynical when referencing the Biden administration is I discussed this specifically and rolled it out at Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville. President Trump came in and advocated for what he called a Bitcoin stockpile, a strategic stockpile. Robert F. Kennedy spoke advocating for an even larger strategic Bitcoin reserve than I proposed. So here are three people that are definitely not in sync with the Biden administration, and the Biden administration doesn't want Trump to be elected or RFK to be elected. And so the Monday after the Bitcoin 2024 announcement, the U.S. sells a bunch of Bitcoin. And I thought it was actually cynical enough that it was their way of saying, okay, Trump, okay, RFK, okay, Lummis, in your face. We're going to sell Bitcoin today. And I
Do you think that was actually intentional, or that wasn't just a coincidence? That was actually a decided move?
I don't know, but I don't know. But,
okay. But there's some discretion in terms of like as you point out, some of this 200,000 plus Bitcoin that the U.S. has that has been forfeited and is in U.S. custody. That's been around for a long time. Some of it dates back to kind of like Silk Road Bitcoin, really 2013, 2014.
You got it.
So there's some discretion as to when you sell it.
You're
Is
right.
there not? Like there's not a set of laws that dictate, hey, you must sell within X years. It's just kind of sitting there and you could sell it whenever you want to.
Well, which is why, Ryan, we wanted to address that in the legislation and specifically say, stop selling, put it in reserve, and add to that reserve.
Has any other country done this? Or would the U.S. be among the first? I mean,
well, you know, El Salvador has Bitcoin, of course, a much smaller amount, but there are other countries considering it. There are other states that are doing it. One of them is Louisiana. And I was talking to Governor Jeff Landry over the weekend about it. So there are states now, either through their pension funds or other asset diversification goals, that are buying Bitcoin.
So there's states, and by the way, there's a section in this bill called like voluntary state participation, right, where individual states can kind of jump on this. And I assume because part of the bill we haven't talked about, I'm sure we will, is kind of the setup of a complete self-custody of the U.S. government. I call this kind of like a Fort Knox type of setup environment with cold storage, cutting edge stuff, the best of the best. And I assume the voluntary state purchase of this is basically states, if you're Louisiana, if you're Texas, if you're, I'll give a blue state, if you're California, you can go purchase Bitcoin and then maybe store it in kind of the custody situation that the feds have put together?
That's correct, because the bill proposes that not all of the strategic reserve would be in the same wallet. It would be diversely distributed among wallets and in different regions, but subject to state-of-the-art security. So we want states to be able to participate in that if they want, once we have established state-of-the-art security for the assets.
Mm-hmm. Senator, I think all the Bankless listeners and even myself and Ryan understand and appreciate the merits and strength of Bitcoin. I think it's number 4 in the total market cap of all assets out there. But nonetheless, I think when people hear this proposal of putting Bitcoin behind the global reserve currency of the dollar inside of the Fed, there's like a little of a sticker shock with that. Bitcoin is only 15 years old. There are companies that have, similar market caps to Bitcoin that are older than Bitcoin. Like we could be putting Apple or Microsoft as part of the treasury. Why do you think Bitcoin is ready for like the Federal Reserve level prime time? Why do you think it's time for Bitcoin, and why now?
Well, Bitcoin is not issued by government. It's not particularly regulated by government. So as a asset backing up a fiat currency that the U.S. has, it has characteristics that make it in many ways a harder asset than, say, a U.S. stock like Apple. And it is such a different asset from the U.S. dollar, from any fiat currency. Because of its scarcity, there will only be 21 million Bitcoin ever mined. And it's designed to be a hard asset. It's designed for scarcity, that it provides a certain underpinning that the US dollar doesn't have. You know, during a 22-month period during COVID, the United States printed more dollars than had ever been printed in the whole history of the United States. And so we've proven ourselves incapable of disciplining ourselves when it comes to preserving the value of the US dollar. We're continually debasing the value of the US dollar by printing too much of it and by spending too much of it. This is an asset where neither occurs because it is so completely distributed and so divorced of a government edict that it is a true diversifier.
What's interesting about this too, and let me know if this is some of the logic behind this, Senator David's question of like, well, is it too early to do this? There's an element, and we know of crypto holders, right? We're all here early. Everyone listening to Bankless it's still early, guys. It's still early. If you wait until G7 countries and China has purchased it, right, then it doesn't have the prospect that you opened with, Senator, of kind of reducing the $35 trillion hole that the U.S. is in, right? you wait until Bitcoin. Yeah, you got to be if you're trying to actually have the value accrual appreciate to the U.S. and knock out this $35 trillion debt that we have, then you have to be on the front side of this, or else like the plan doesn't work, right? So we're talking about buying at $60K to $100K in this kind of range, yes, in hopes that all of this reserve, this 5%, this 1 million Bitcoin, what appreciates to like 10 trillion, 15 trillion, or something like this. Like you said, it could cut the $35 trillion debt in half. Is that the expectation here?
The expectation is that 1 million Bitcoin 20 years from now would be worth $17 trillion.
Wow. And that's why, so that's in this logic, why you wait until Bitcoin. Yeah, you got to be, if you're trying to actually have the value accrual appreciate to the U.S. and knock out this $35 trillion debt that we have, then you have to be on the front side of this, or else like the plan doesn't work, right? So we're talking about buying at $60K to $100K in this kind of range, yes, in hopes that all of this reserve, this 5%, this 1 million Bitcoin, what appreciates to like 10 trillion, 15 trillion, or something like this. Like you said, it could cut the $35 trillion debt in half. Is that the expectation here?
The expectation is that 1 million Bitcoin 20 years from now would be worth $17 trillion.
Wow. And that's why, so that's in this logic, why you have to kind of be first. I noticed in the bill too, there's some a provision around basically forced holding. So none of the Bitcoin that would be acquired in this could be sold at all during the first 20 years. Is that correct?
I believe that that's how we worded it. And we did that specifically so the accounting and math associated with getting to that $17 trillion number plays out. If the United States starts getting in the cookie jar, it won't play out. It won't work. In order to be as effective as a reserve, it must be held. Buy and hold. Bitcoin is designed to buy and hold. I mean, the whole term HODL, or hold on for dear life, is designed to encourage people to buy and hold. This was never designed to be an asset for day traders. It always had the incidence of long money, slow money, that people would learn is worth hanging on to. So that's part of the original even principles of Bitcoin. And so to get people out of the notion of thinking that Bitcoin is just a different type of asset like a stock, and you can day trade it and buy the dips and, sell at the highs. It was never designed for that purpose. And so we're trying to statutorily institute the original purpose of Bitcoin, which is as slow money.
New